Nabila. So for introduction, I will explain about what is international conflict and conflict between Ukraine and Russia. So, what is international conflicts? International conflicts refers to the conflict between different nation states as well as conflict between individual and organizations within different nations. It also applies to intergroup conflict within a same group country when one country seek independence or increase social, political or economic power. International conflict can take various forms including diplomatic tensions, economic dispute, military disagreement and wars. International conflict are frequently resolved through diplomatic negotiation, mediation and in some cases intervention from third-party entities such as international organizations or other countries. The goal is usually to achieve a peaceful resolution that addresses the root cause of dispute while also promoting international stability and collaboration. Next, Ukraine and Russia conflicts. It began when the dissolution of Union of Soviet Socialist Republics (USSR), or nowadays is called Soviet Union, in 1991, and the agreement over the nature of the Commonwealth of Independent States (CIS). Ukraine wanted the dissolution of the Soviet Union, whilst Russia preferred to maintain certain relations. Ukraine's independence has been influenced by its Soviet past, making it difficult to break away from Russia. In the early years of independence, Ukraine moved toward the west, while Russia was concerned about losing territory and Ukraine departing. Both parties had high hopes that did not meet reality. Ukraine took control of military base and equipment which concerned Russia. They eventually worked out an agreement to lease these facilities back to Russia. Instead of signing agreement with Russia and other former Soviet countries, Ukraine chose to strike its own deals. Ukraine did not want to join certain agreement with Russia and other former Soviet countries because they considered them unfair. Ukraine's first president, Leonid Khrushchev, attempted to balance Russia with the West and Russia, but he failed to find solution that benefits both sides. When President Leonid Kuchma took the position, he promised to strengthen ties with Russia and adopt an approach that was more realistic. They signed a friendship pact in 1995, but major concerns like dual citizenship and Russia's military presence in Crimea remain unresolved. So, the consequence of this conflict spread far beyond Ukraine's border, having a major effect on the global economy and security.
So now I will explain about background scenario of the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. The first point is historical context. Russia and Ukraine have shared a long history, starting with Kiev as the center of Kievan Rus about 1,000 years ago. Over the time, Russia tried to take control of the parts of Ukraine and tried to transform Ukrainians into Russians, which caused problems because of Ukraine's distinct language and traditions. In the 1900s, Ukraine suffered many disasters, including a famine caused by Soviet leader Stalin, who also moved many Russians to Ukraine and created tension. And today, Ukraine is divided into two regions, the east, which more connected to Russia, and the west, which looks towards Europe. So the next point is Crimea annexation. In November 2013, Ukraine's President Yanukovych chose to align with Russia instead of signing an agreement with the European Union, which sparked protests in Kiev known as Euromaidan. By February 2014, after the protests, Yanukovych agreed to early the election and a united government with European leaders, but the deal was collapsed and he fled from Ukraine. Later that month, Russian soldiers took over Crimea. Crimea is a region which contains many Russian speakers. Crimea's leaders declared independence and held a vote to join Russia, and from the vote, it showed that 95.5% citizens give support to join Russia. Despite international sanctions, Russia officially owns Crimea. And the last point is Ukraine with NATO. Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022 because they felt threatened by NATO. Russia disliked NATO expanding into former Soviet territories because they felt it was getting too close and ignoring agreements from the 1990s. Before the invasion, Russia warned the US and NATO not to include Ukraine in NATO because Russia viewed it as hostile. But Ukraine had been cooperating with NATO for several years and wanted to join fully. Russia demanded NATO to stop expanding. However, NATO was open to talks, but refused to stop countries from joining NATO. Essentially, Russia saw NATO's action as a threat to their security. That's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
Next, I will talk about the factors of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. There are three factors, and the first one is historical context. For a very long time, Ukraine was under the domination of the Russian Empire that contributed to the development of Russian culture, language, and identity. However, Western Ukraine, by contrast, spent centuries under the control of European power such as Poland and the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Ukraine had declared independence, but Russia remained as there are large ethnic Russian population in the eastern and southern Ukraine. The rejection of Ukrainian identity and the claim that Ukraine desired to separate itself from Russian influence was the reason Russia tensed with Ukraine. It is said that it seemed as the product of external forces, as declaimed Putin himself believed, by Jeffrey Mankov, 2022. Next, the second factor is Crimea annexation. Crimea had a historical tie to Russia, but it transferred to Ukraine in 1954 by Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev. Many Russians saw this action as completely illegal. The annexation sparked and marked as one of the turning points of the relationship between Russia and Ukraine. According to the 8th Conan 2023, Crimea was occupied and annexed by Russia in 2014, followed shortly after by a separatist uprising in the eastern Ukrainian region of Donbass that resulted in the declaration of the Russian-backed People's Republic of Luhansk and Donetsk. Lastly, the third factor is Ukraine with NATO. The war that happened in Ukraine has pushed Ukraine to join Western into joining the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, since Ukraine assisted NATO in membership and will give them security assurance. Some part of the Ukraine, particularly in Western region, have been supportive of joining NATO, while the other parts, especially in the Eastern region, were not. Ukraine's desire for NATO membership has been an issue toward Russia. NATO presence had been seen as an attempt by Western power to threaten Russia's influence in the region. These were according to the Robert Parsons and Michael McCall in their Journal of Democracy. That's all from me. Thank you. Next, I will pass to the next presenter.
Now, I will talk about impact of conflict. The first impact is supply chain dispute. The war dispute the global supply chain due to the existing strain from trade war and COVID-19 pandemic. Both Russia and Ukraine play critical roles in interconnected supply chains, affecting more than 350,000 businesses worldwide. Industries such as energy, foods, and semiconductor were significantly impacted. For example, agriculture export like wheat, sunflower oil, barley, and corn from both countries show the decrease and affecting the global market. Furthermore, higher wheat price lead to increased costs for bread, meat, dairy, and egg products. Fertilizer price also rose due to oil dependency and impact Russia export. Second impact of conflict is increased inflation. The conflict caused inflation, especially import inflation. It will be explained when rising international raw material and commodities price affect the domestic production costs. These inflations dispute the purchasing power, social stability, and economic growth. For example, China, who is heavily relies on raw material import, face the production challenge due to inflation, and developing nations depend on energy import, experience rising local fuel and food price. The third point is treat the food security and energy security. Ukraine distribute the impact global food security. Vulnerable regions like Africa face hunger due to rising food price. This is because Ukraine's role as a major food supply affects countries like Lebanon, Somalia, Egypt, Syria, and Libya. Energy security, on the other hand, was threatened as Russia, a major oil and gas exporter, faced the sanctions. This situation showed to the global energy price increase, affecting countries that heavily relies on Russian oil and gas. Lastly, is upended the global security order. The conflict challenged existing norms and international relations, especially Western countries committed to a liberal vision of international order. The divide between global north and south became evident. Furthermore, NATO strengthened its positions with Sweden and Finland considering membership. The final impact on global security order depends on unity in resisting Russia and supporting Ukraine recovery.
I will continue with the recommendation of Ukraine-Russia war. The first one, improving insight into extended supply chains. The modern supply chains is a complex web of interconnected entities spanning across continents and industries. To effectively manage and mitigate risk within these extended supply chains, it is imperative to leverage cutting-edge technologies for real-time monitoring and analysis. Technologies such as blockchain, RFID, and IoT Internet of Things enable us to gain deeper insights into the flow of goods and information, thereby facilitating proactive risk management. Additionally, devising supply networks and considering nearshoring or relocation tactics can help reduce reliance on single sources and mitigate risk associated with extensive transportation networks. These strategic measures not only enhance resilience but also support local growth and improve sustainability by reducing carbon emissions and promoting economic development in vulnerable regions. Second recommendation is policy interventions and strategy adjustment. The current global landscape is characterized by economic uncertainties and inflationary pressures, necessitating the implementation of strategic policy interventions. Central banks may raise the interest rates to curb excessive spending and investment, thereby tempering inflationary pressures. Concurrently, governments can implement regulatory measures such as price controls and subsidies to stabilize essential goods costs and alleviate financial burdens on consumers. Moreover, adjustment in taxation and government spending are crucial for controlling aggregate demand and stabilizing inflation rates. For the third recommendation is investment in agriculture. In the realm of food security, investment in agriculture play a pivotal role in ensuring the resilience of our food supply chains. To address this challenge, it is imperative to prioritize investment in agricultural livelihoods, providing small-scale farmers with the necessary support and resources to enhance their productivity and resilience. This may include initiatives such as making loans easier, promoting technological innovations, and providing educational and training opportunities. By empowering small-scale farmers and strengthening their capacity to adapt to changing environmental conditions, we can bolster the resilience of our food systems and ensure food security for all. For the last point is strengthening NATO forces in Eastern Europe. In the realm of global security, the Ukraine-Russia war has shown the importance of coordinated efforts to adapt and strengthen our security architecture. By enhancing NATO's military presence and capabilities in the region, we can provide reassurance to ally states facing increasing security concerns and potential aggression from antagonistic forces. Furthermore, the expansion of NATO membership to include countries in the Nordic-Baltic region, such as Sweden and Finland, strengthens the alliance influence and collective defense capabilities. This expansion not only enhances security cooperation and solidarity across the region, but also strengthens bilateral partnerships and fosters stability amidst changing security dynamics. That's all from me. I will continue with the next presenter.
In conclusion, the conflict between Ukraine and Russia is a complicated issue with far-reaching effects. It derives from the two countries' long history, including shared history, historical power, and the struggle for independence. The annexation of Crimea by Russia in 2014 is a major turning point in the relationship between Russia and Ukraine. Moreover, Ukraine's intention to join NATO has caused problems between Russia and the West. The conflict has impact beyond the border of Ukraine and Russia, affecting the world's economy and global security. Several recommendations has been made to help lessen the conflict's negative impacts. Lastly, resolving the Ukraine-Russia conflict will involve a committed international efforts, diplomatic negotiation, and a commitment to the goal of peace, stability, and respect for the country. Only by communication, cooperation, and compromise can a long-term resolution be achieved, paving the way for a more secure and good future for all involved parties.